So maybe they need to start doing a bit more of that, like we talked about last week. But great game, had it all, and the Eels did just deserve to win, and they won.
Great. Elsewhere on Sunday, it finished Sea Eagles 22, the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks 40.
What happened? What happened here?
I have absolutely no idea because I was in bed.
Is that your way of just denying it happened as a Manly fan?
Yeah, I don't think I'm even there now anymore because I don't know what's happened to my cardboard self, but I think since they're coming back to Lotterland, I don't know what's happened to me. So I'll be floating around somewhere.
Yeah, well maybe you were there this week, but you won't get moved. I'm not sure how that works.
Maybe they'll just leave me in Gosford.
Yeah. Well done to the Sharks anyway. Yeah. The final game of the round was the Bulldogs versus the West Tigers, and whilst I too was asleep for the Eagles Sharks game, I was awake for this game, and so was Lee Whitnell.
Yeah, and he said, we had to go over the page, the Tigers pulled down the Bulldogs' pants and gave them a good thrashing in this one-sided game. There was some great offloading, including classic Joey off-the-cuff stuff, but the Dogs were their own worst enemy, giving up 3 tries to daft errors.
Yeah, we should probably call out the score, which was 34 points to 6 for the West Tigers. West doing what they failed to do last week and staying the team on top, controlling the whole 80 minutes, really, as well in that. So, do we start having to take the Tigers seriously as a playoff team, or are they just setting us up for that inevitable decline?
Well, if they're not on the decline, they're building up to a decline, aren't they? It's the Tigers. Tigers going to decline.
They're just there to create material for our friends over at This Week in League, really, with that sort of stuff. But this was a really good performance from them. I mean, the Bulldogs weren't helped with an early injury to Will Hopoate, which kind of made things get really moved around for them. But the Tigers, they look good, and it's in the pack where, to me, I'm most impressed. Some of these young players, Harry Grant at hooker, Luke Garner in the second row, these are players that are impressing me, and you know, Maguire's getting the best out of them, and maybe I know this was just the Bulldogs, but they're on a run now, so maybe we need to take them seriously.
Yeah.
And Tommy Talau got a try, 2 tries in fact, and he looks just like his dad.
It's depressing when you start thinking that, isn't it? I mean, if you think of how many of them are kicking around the NRL, and you think, oh, I remember, oh no.
I was hoping that Tommy Talau was Willie Talau's younger brother, rather than the reality that I watched his dad play when I was a full adult.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to tell us the standings?
Yeah, so the Eels stay on top with 12 points and 6 wins from 7. The Panthers of Penrith, those little chocolate soldiers, are second on 11 points, and Roosters and Storm make up the top 4 on 10 points apiece. The Knights from Newcastle have 9 points, then the rest of the top 8 all have 8 points. That's West Tigers, Raiders, and the Manly Sea Eagles. Rabbitohs, Cowboys and Sharks sit outside the 8 on 6 points. The Dragons, Titans, Warriors and Broncos all have 4 points each, and the Bulldogs right there down on the bottom on 2 points for them.
Do you think that's another situation where there could be a coaching casualty, or do you just think the Bulldogs are too early in that journey? They're in a rebuild, and
I think it's hard. I think I wouldn't expect them to. I don't think it gains them anything at this point. I think Seabold at Broncos is probably, I mean, if he's not started to order some boxes and pack up his pot plant, he surely can't read the room, and that might be part of his problem. But the mood music is playing and it's getting louder.
Yeah, he doesn't give me any confidence, doesn't Seabold? Whereas I think at least I kind of get the sense that the players want to be there for Dean Pay at the Bulldogs. You know, they're starting from nowhere and trying to build up.
Yeah. And they're realistic about where they are.
Is it? The Broncos have been a playoff team. They've got, although young group, a talented young group, as well as some international stars.
And it is a very different expectation and focus. If you think of the Doggies where they are, they're one team of 9 in that area and that region, whereas for the Broncos they've got all eyes and newspapers and media outlets on them in that market. So it's a very different area in terms of scrutiny and the amount of pressure they'll be under.
Do we? You sort of made a joke about the Panthers, but do we think they're potentially a real deal here? They've had some really impressive wins over some top sides, haven't they, to start things off?
They have, and you know, in Cleary, if he stays fit, they've got what will be one of the Origin halves, or certainly in the conversation for that. It's whether they can keep. You know, you do get the feeling they're on a bit of a wave at the moment. Whether they can keep that momentum up 10, 15 games in is a question, because once the injuries start to bite, there isn't a huge amount in the cupboard there. So it'll be interesting to see what they've got. But they seem to be doing well, and I think perhaps the lack of stars in a way is helping them. The lack of that clear, discernible, apart from clear, you know,
like Kickout's the person who draws all the attention, doesn't he? It's kind of like the star man, and this is a second rower.
Exactly. Yeah.
When do we ever talk about them as the main man, other than me, about Liam Farrell?
Well, certainly since I retired, anyway. Yeah.
Then the ominous sign. You know, even for the Eels, who are going so well, they've lost one game, and it's a game. It was to the team that now all of a sudden are in third place, and they're coping with injuries. They're absolutely flying since the resumption, and that's the Roosters. They're the favourites now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're always going to be with the resources and they had at their disposal and the way they play. I think Angus Crichton, speaking of second rows, is someone who continues to impress me. That he just does great work week on week, and he's someone that's sort of come under a bit of pressure in the way he moved from South Sydney across the water. But I think he's done wonders, and I think he's going to be a long-term player for them.
Yeah, they've got
even without a finger.
They've got some pieces, haven't they, there that you think these are, and it just happens to be players that have come over from the Rabbitohs, but they've got some pieces there that are the core of that squad. Of those sides that are just outside the 8, because it's a truncated season, so of those sides that sit just outside the 8, the Broncos we've talked a bit about, they need to be worried, but the Rabbitohs, Cowboys and Sharks, certainly 2 of those 3 would have started this season with serious top 4 aspirations. Do you think the Rabbitohs and Sharks in particular need to be worried about this season at this stage?
I don't know. I mean, the good news is that the gap is still, because of where we are, is very small. So
and
it doesn't.
Sides above them's West Tigers.
And one of them is our due a decline at any point. And so you've got plenty of capacity in there, and it really takes a couple of wins to suddenly see you start shooting up and you're looking upwards and you're back where you think on squad balance and depth and talent wise they should be. So it's probably not too alarming at this point, but the thing is, there's been such disruption with this season and everything that's gone on. You kind of think most coaches are going to get a bit of a pass for those sorts of sides anyway, because they'll be able to play to that card.
Yeah, it's just the Rabbitohs is a side that's going to have, like we said, different expectations, like the Broncos are a side that have different expectations. Let's look at round 8 fixtures then, and I'm just doing a check to see where they're all being played, because most teams are allowed back home, but COVID outbreak in Melbourne is meaning the Storm won't, and obviously the Warriors can't play back in New Zealand yet, with some travel restrictions still sort of hanging around between the two countries. So let's run through the fixtures. We've got the Storm versus the Roosters Thursday at 10:50 a.m. That's being played out of Suncorp Stadium. I'm not sure if that benefits either of them. Raiders versus the Dragons Friday at 9 a.m. This is the return to GIO Stadium for the Raiders for the first game since the first time since the first game of the season. Then after that, always at home, no matter who they're playing, the Parramatta Eels host the Cowboys at 10:55 a.m. Then into Saturday, the 6 a.m. game, so the game that probably not going to bother waking up for, the Titans versus the Sharks. That's going to be played at Seabus Super Stadium, so that's going to have the usual amount of fans there as any other Titans home game at Seabus Super Stadium.
Social distancing is not a problem there.
No, it's not. 8:30 a.m. game, the Warriors versus the Broncos. So this is a side that have just sacked their coach against a side that may just well sack their coach. That's at the Central Coast Stadium. Then the headline game on Saturday, the primetime game, is at Bankwest Stadium. It's the West Tigers versus the Panthers. I'm not sure why this has been moved to Bankwest Stadium, where the West Tigers could play at two home grounds that they've got, Campbelltown or Leichhardt. Don't get it. But anyway, that's at Bankwest. Then the Manly Sea Eagles, you'll be pleased to hear, Tim, return to Lottoland. So you might wake up for this one at 7:05 on Sunday. They host the Knights. That's two top 8 sides at the moment. And then finally, but last but not least for us watching with a Brit Watch perspective on things, on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. it's the Bulldogs versus the Rabbitohs, also at Bankwest Stadium. And it's going to be the first time we see Luke Thompson in a Bulldog shirt, we all expect. He'll play limited minutes, yes, but will play some minutes. So it'd be great to see him in the starting lineup, fronting up against Tom Burgess on the other side of things, and give a proper test to two of our big men.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how he goes in that one. So that'll be good Sunday morning.
Which of those particular games would you pick out most to be the ones to catch either live or record and watch later?
I think the Thursday game's going to be a good one this week. Oh, I've got bloody meetings as well. They might get
I'm
moved.
sort of back in the office, but I think I might try and work from home on Thursday.
So that's going to be one to watch. I think Eagles versus Cowboys is potentially a good one, the late Friday game. And obviously from a personal point of view, I'm not sure if I'll get up for playing Newcastle, but I might if I'm awake, I'll turn it on.
I can't work out the Knights this year, because obviously they've got Ponga, so there's entertainment value there. But also, they've been quite good. But then they just got it handed to them last week, so against a team that's not been good, so it's a bit weird. Yeah, the Storm versus the Roosters is the tie of the round. Certainly, that's they're the two favourites to get to the grand final ultimately. You would
it wouldn't surprise me if this was the grand final.
No, and then the other game that I'm definitely looking forward to this week is the Bulldogs versus the Rabbitohs. I'm excited to see Luke Thompson. I know we can't expect too much of him. He's been out of action for a while. He's been doing quite a bit of travelling. He's been hanging around in Australia's COVID central, which is Melbourne. For some reason, he didn't get out of there straight a fucking way. But he is with the Bulldogs in training now. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see him get some minutes under his belt for sure. Make sure you send your fan views in on those ones anyway. I'll update all the games so that I've got the right ground in the pictures. And Mark, who runs the app for us, has updated all the hashtags so they don't look weird and they actually look like the NRL hashtags. So that's another positive as well. So look out for those and send us your fan views for us to discuss on next week's show. We're now going to do a quiz. So as I said, Tim, the quiz this week is based on the fact that it would have been an SLP derby between our two Super League sides this weekend, just gone. So what I've done is I've picked out 5 players to name who have played for both clubs in the Super League era. So the test is for you to name them all. Clues will be given And because we like this format, when John Scott did one for Sarah to give me the other week. So clues will be given. You can score 3, 2 or 1 points per question depending on when